Hey, buddy. What's going on today? This is Stevie Breach coming to you. And basically, if you're like me, you were trying to pay attention to the fights tonight, seeing if there was going to be some sort of special, big, huge introduction. I don't know if you fell for the um, I guess you can say just basic rumor that was going out that UFC was going to be making a big announcement during the pay-per-view during this weekend. And when it all comes down to it, it basically was just they introduced their network. This is the same sort of thing that WWE is going to be doing come the start of the new year when they go into Las Vegas. They're going to, debut this, unveiling of this network that's going to be done online, and I guess you're going to be able to stream it through things like your PlayStation or your Xbox or many other things like that. And I think we've talked about the WWE network enough. And everything else. But the rumor that I was hearing, the rumor that I was really looking forward to, that Brock Lesnar was going to be announcing that he was going back to UFC and that he was going to be having a return fight for UFC under their whole thing. To me, honestly, I've had enough of Brock Lesnar in WWE. I think that it was big news when he came in WrestleMania 28 weekend. I think it was big and it was huge. The fight that they had with him and Cena at Extreme Rules, possibly one of the best matches of that year. I mean, that match, they just beat the shit out of each other. It was something that we hadn't seen in WWE in a long, long time. And if Brock Lesnar was an everyday fighter, maybe not an everyday fighter, but I mean, if he was an everyday character, where he showed up on Monday Night Raw, he did shit, we just didn't get to see him fight unless you paid for it on the pay-per-views, I think it would work. But honestly, in my mind, if you excuse the John Cena fight, I'm done with Brock Lesnar. I really wish that he would go. I think if you go back to UFC 140 something. It was right after that. It was back in, I believe it was back in April or May of 2012. It was after Extreme Rules. He showed up at the fight. What everybody knows about Brock Lesnar is he lives up in Minnesota. He doesn't leave his house unless he's hunting a deer or he's hunting a paycheck. The guy goes, he does his job, he goes back home. He likes to live with his family, and he likes to work the little amount that he has to. He just loves it up there, and that's about it. But on that day, he went to Las Vegas. He was hunting a payday from Dana White. He showed up front row at the fight, and it basically took away from the whole pay-per-view and everything that was going on. And he had a meeting with Dana after the fight. Dana White, luckily, well, maybe not even luckily for us anymore, in my mind. He said he wasn't going to, do what Brock was trying to do, play the WWE against UFC, and see who was going to give him the bigger payday, if he was going to fight at WrestleMania, or if he was going to fight on an upcoming pay-per-view. And he said, you know what, you come to me when you're done with your fake wrestling bullshit, and then we'll talk numbers. And I thought maybe, Dana was sort of seeing, the request of Brock, and Brock being a guy that can come in there and have a big fight against Kane, or Kane Velasquez, or a big fight against somebody else. And they've been trying to do this big Dallas Stadium show because they want to set this sort of record or precedence. The UFC is at the top of this game, and they could sell this place out and make a shit ton of money, but they can't do it unless they have the right people there. They're not just going to go to Dallas just to go to Dallas. They want to have a big fight and a big feel. And honestly, the fight that they had this weekend was probably the biggest fight that they've had since UFC 100. And I think that Brock, at least with the rumor, it's probably all bullshit, but in my mind, I was on my knees like praying, like, fucking go. I'm done with you. We don't need you anymore. I know there's rumors of, Brock versus Taker or Brock versus Rock match, but when it comes down to it at the end of the time, I don't think that Brock Lesnar has moved, the needle for WWE. We're as big as we've ever been, and it's not because Brock's been there. He had the huge long series with my man Triple H, where they did battles at SummerSlam, at WrestleMania, and he did battles at Extreme Rules this year. And some people say the Extreme Rules match was the best of all of those, and none of them really mattered in the long run. Even this year, if you go to SummerSlam, some people said that CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar had the match of the year for WWE. I didn't think that match was shit. I thought it was horrible. I thought it was done. And I mean, I just wish that this guy would go and leave us alone in wrestling. I really don't like how guys are able to sign these deals, show up, come and go as they please. The Rock is The Rock. The Rock was a wrestler at first he really did love it. It's in his family, it's in his blood, and I didn't really think that it was fair for him to come and do this, and Brock Lesnar to show up less than Rock did and make as much money, and people think that he's actually bringing in fans. I think people came over from UFC, might have watched that first Cena fight, but then they made us wait so long between Extreme Rules and SummerSlam that year that that match didn't mean shit. And you can blame Hunter for putting himself in his own angle, making it last that long with a big name like this, or if you just want to think that maybe Brock Lesnar doesn't have the name appeal to wrestling that he once did. To me, I just really wish that he would show up more often, and that he doesn't. Just move along. I mean, I really wish the rumor would be true that he was going back to UFC, because he'd be able to work as often as he needed to. He needed to go in, go to train, only have one big fight a year, make that big payday, and he'd probably be happier doing that than anything else. So I really wish the rumor was true, but it's not. Fuck off, Brock. Leave me alone, please leave.